What you're about to hear is a co-creation session between me and another individual. The purpose of these sessions is to come together to focus on what is important to this person that I'm working with. But it's more than that, because that could really define a therapy session. What this is tuning into something more. I envision my higher self connecting with the other individual's higher self, where we sit in dialogue, we have a conversation, but we allow our intuition to guide us. That's really the magic of co-creation. We are each creators, but when we come together to co-create, it's even more powerful than a single person creating on their own. It has always brought me joy to help other people. That's what led me to become a therapist in the first place. But there's some problems in the therapy process that I recognized as I was doing the work as a therapist. And I feel now that I understand things better. I understand how to be more helpful. I understand how to tune into wisdom that we all have access to. And this allows for a different kind of experience, one that can be very powerful when intuition is guiding the session with a common goal. So when I meet with someone in a co-creation session, they get to define what it is that they are wanting to create in their life. And then I allow my higher self to jump on board with that and open up the airways, so to speak, for my intuition to bring in any kind of information that might be helpful for that individual. And they do the same. It's kind of a dance, because really we're just talking back and forth and we're having a conversation. There's a dialogue going. It's solution focused, but it also brings in my education with psychology. It brings in my expertise with law of attraction and universal law in general. And it comes together in this beautiful co-creation experience. So I hope you enjoy listening to us as we co-create. And if it's something that is appealing to you, if it resonates, and you feel like maybe it might be beneficial for you, then maybe you would like to have a co-creation session all of your own. Without further ado, let's get into it and co-create. Everything is working out for me. It's working out for you, too. It just takes believing that it is. We can have, be, and do anything. The key is to care about how you feel and choose to feel good right now. I'm back today with Tera Dummitt for our third co-creation session together. And we were just talking before I hit record about synchronicities and how things just feel so good when they just fall into place and align. And that's kind of what happened with us doing this session. We've gone, it's been a couple months since we had a session like this and we're face to face. We've done a little bit of talking and texting in between, but it was kind of a struggle to get to this point where we could meet again. And then this morning, Tera just came into my mind and I thought I need to reach out to her. So I sent her a text and she was like, well, I could meet with you right now. And so here we are. So glad to have you back on the show with me again. Thank you for being here.
Yes, cheers to spontaneity and synchronicity.
Yeah, it worked out today, didn't it?
And smoothies. You know, smoothies are delicious too.
And smoothies. Got to throw that in there.
Yeah.
That's funny. That reminds me of Shrek when Donkey says, and parfaits. Because who doesn't love a parfait?
It's all about the layers. Yeah.
So what's been going on with you lately? A lot, right?
Yeah, as you said, we haven't spoken in a while, and I think, life just directs you or catches up with you or keeps you busy, however you want to perceive it, or it just flows harmoniously. And even in the midst of chaos, I realize it can be perceived that way.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, we've been putting this off, and I think that with every day, I continue to get I continue to observe that it's perfectly reasonable to trust that things are going to work out exactly when they're meant to. Um, Interestingly enough, this morning it's my only day off. I've been working 10, 12-hour days, just
Wow.
go. A lot of personal things going on. The owner of my house is selling, and just, like the list goes on. It's just life. But it's an addition, to um, just more. It's just more added to life. So I was sitting here and I had every intention of being terribly productive, and it's 12:30. So I turned on the laptop and I lost the phone, and then I found the phone, and the laundry got folded and so on. And I'm thinking, oh man, all I want to do is just lay by the lake. It's my day off after all.
Right.
Um, so nothing was really pulling at me. I just kept kind of puttering, and I thought I'll just lay down and I'll meditate. And so I did, and it felt great. And it was really easy to release. And then I got up and I thought, okay, I'll go outside. And I saw my neighbor. I said, hey, could you call my phone? It's not on, but maybe if you call it, I'll find out. I'll hear it buzzing. And I did. I found it. So I had these blockages this morning, and then after the meditation, everything just kind of progressed. And then I found the phone. You had texted me, um, and I turned on this audio book that I'm listening to called Gene Keys, and I just pushed on a random one. I thought, you know, sometimes I do that when I'm have a block, or I'm just
Not sure which direction you want to go.
yeah, lacking direction. And I pushed on the 40th gene key, which is about willpower, and it just really spoke to me about the present moment and the fact that you got a hold of me. And it's a really good listen. If I could do it no justice, because they really go quite in depth. But I thought, oh, how perfect, to note that, because that was a poignant topic for me this morning already.
You
So
know, meditation really is that important because it just helps you to line up your vibration, and then that's the joy of it, is then all these good things can start flowing through if you tend to yourself first. And I just recorded an episode. I know you said you haven't had time to listen to the full episodes lately, but I recorded one for people who feel anxious or they're unimpressed with meditation or they're just skeptical, because I really believe that it's for everybody, and everybody can find the benefit in it if they really give it a try. Actually, I mentioned you in the episode. I talked about how you and I agreed for you to do the 30-day meditation
mm.
before we had our sessions together, and then I checked in with you to see if you continue to do it, and I'm glad to hear that you continue to find benefit in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've just been catching your shorts on Instagram rather than diving in. But again, I've got, like, how one does have 100 books they need to tend to, and
Yes,
this movie that they simply must watch, and it's like the list adds up.
absolutely.
But I didn't listen to your episode, but a friend of mine would told me about it. She said, "Oh, hey, I listened, and it's all about anxiety." And she was telling me about it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I have so many questions." She goes, "Just listen to the episode." So I'll have to do that. Um, but yeah, it takes with anything, give yourself the time, and then
Yeah.
take the time to do it. Choose. I don't know. I'm finding that it's helping me to learn really easily what brings me joy and what ignites me. And for me, you do get to a point when you're meditating, and then things start to kind of progress. And I think where I'm at right now is I trust my place in time and my relationship with time. And I know that things that you want to happen now can take 5 years. And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Because time, the oak tree doesn't perceive time the way that we do, and the oak tree is doing just fine. So I think that there's a lot to be said there about your relationship with time, and meditation helps, I think, to helps you move with time rather than against it, or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So even just this morning's really a confirmation for me. Yes, stop what you're doing, get out of your head, quit getting busy, and just sort of just kind of let go. It's like other source or entity really, it's got it under control. But
It's there helping you all the way. Yeah.
yeah, but then you do get a smidgen of willpower, and so
One of my favorite things about you is the degree to which you trust. And you've brought up trust a couple of times, but I really feel it in you that you are a accepting person. And like with time, you just have this acceptance of, so it might take a while. It's okay. And the thing I love about that the most is there's minimal resistance in that. But when you want something now, there's a lot of resistance in that.
mhm.
And you're noticing that you don't have it. And that just adds resistance on your path, making it harder for those things to come to you. But you have this open flow feeling that really, I think, works well for you. And do you find that manifestations come into your experience fairly quickly when it's something that you have very little resistance towards like that?
um I'm thinking the less. I'm thinking of a few recent things. One, I've been wanting this back massager, but I'm trying to save money to move into a place, and all this, or buy a place. And there's a few other things that I've been wanting. And this really nice back massager on the side of the road next to a free sign. I was like, oh. Um,
Wow.
and then just other progressions of relationships that I'm in. Um, do they, yeah, when you don't force, and you step back, you give it your presence, your attention, your trust,
Yeah.
there is less resistance, absolutely.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about some of the big changes in your life? Now, you just kind of touched on the owner of the house that you're living in is selling. And
Mhm.
that's something you told me a while ago. And when you mentioned it to me, it felt like it was kind of an urgency feeling of, well, now you got to get out of there and you need a place to go to. So how has that progressed? Have you found another place to move to?
Oh boy, and for me, it's really a dynamic topic. I think one, when we spoke, you said, well, and this sometimes when you say things, it hits me really hard. You said, well, have you been wanting this? Maybe you're getting what you want. And I'm like, gosh, shucks. Uh,
So is that confirmation? Have you been wanting it?
yeah, I should have been been more specific about how I wanted it. Like
Yeah.
I've been wanting a kiss, right? And I won't go into that. But I got a kiss, but it wasn't the kiss I wanted.
Oh.
So again, I won't go into that. So I've been telling my friend, be careful what you ask for. Watch what you think. There's power in words and thoughts.
Yeah.
Crying a little bit. That's so funny to me. The housing um, situation or crisis. So that's a huge topic for me, and this happening to me personally has led me into conversations with city council and
Wow.
on pages that I've never been on before. Just seeing and sharing everybody's story, like, whoa, really big deal. Um, for me personally, it's like, okay, yes, I've been sitting here in this home that I'm in, that I've loved and I've lived in for 10 years or more. And my son grew up here, and, we're all having emotions and moving
Yeah.
stuff when you work full time and you're trying to, you know, I'm trying to start my own business and all these other things. It's just like, get organized, Tara. Um, so I don't, right now, at sitting here, I don't know if we're going to get into a house. it's extremely competitive.
Okay.
And I am a smidge away and looking into, but I'm just like just a smidge away from buying, just
Oh,
um and I've even thought about maybe my son and I could just live in a sprinter van. So um
didn't you say you had somebody else come to live with you?
yes, the day that we found out that we had to move out, we got notice. My daughter and her partner had moved in with me. So there's four of us.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we've
I was
had to,
wondering when you said just you and your son. I was wondering
yeah.
if a change had happened.
Well, and they're okay with either, we're all okay with moving into something together and really saving up money and progressing in whatever way that we can in this economic and societal shifts that we're
Yeah.
seeing, which in some ways it seems like it's all just happened in the blink of an eye, even though it's really rapidly changed, I think, significantly noticeably to everybody in the past 5 years or so. But it's like, whoa, okay, huge wake up call and reassessment of how we're going to thrive because we have to break our old habits. It's not just laissez faire shopping anymore. You really have to be mindful of what you're putting your time, your energy, and your income into. Um, so,
Okay. So we don't know who all's going to be moving out and living together because you don't know what the living situation is yet. If you were to get into a house, then all four of you might live together. But if you don't get into a house, then you and your son might be living in the van
by the river.
and, traveling about and experiencing life in a much different way. um, what I'm wondering is, have you done any vibrational work around it? Have you really tried to get some clarity about what it is you do want?
Yes, yes, and more so to the point I realize that I have several ideals. I would love, and my job, I'm a delivery driver, so I drive around and I see all these houses, right? So part of my day is just kind of daydreaming, like, oh, look at that, perfect. That's perfect, right? But I come across a dozen perfects a day. I'm like, oh, that would be just dreamy, and that would be dreamy. So it really, it hasn't formed fully. I think I've been giving it a lot of mental attention, and I think for me, I if it's just me in and of myself, I think there's a deeper knowing of what I want, but I'm also trying to consider others and
Sure.
and how whatever situation is going to serve me can also like extremely serve others. That's a huge kind of part of my being is I'm more in service to others than I am myself. And so
Yeah.
if it was just me, put a backpack on my back and send me to the mountains.
Freedom.
This is the Pacific Northwest. I can forage.
Yeah.
um, but my son, he's not a forager.
Yeah.
He's in Silverdale today and he is loving it. He loves that. He loves the fair. And let's just say he loved it and I didn't.
Oh.
um, so yeah, there's a
But
lot.
you're his mom, and so you've got to think about how you're going to take care of your son.
Yeah, and it's a funny conversation to have with a child. Um, you're saying, okay, this is what I want. Let's just say one of our ideals, which all of us kind of agree with, is to each have a tiny home. But then you start doing the math on that, and where is the land, and it quickly adds up to 500 grand just for the basics. But you're talking to a kid about it, and we're like, well, why can't we all just have what we want? And the innocence of that, I do believe in my heart that um, I just want a tiny house. And this other gal who came to look at this house said it's just her, and she would love a house just 3 bedrooms all to herself. And I'm thinking, whoa, that's too much. I just need one bedroom and a shower outside, like so everybody, and you probably have your ideal, and
Yeah.
somebody else would just love a house made of wood. Others would love it made of stone. And what I'm saying is, if in my idea of a thriving world, if we all sat and we were in tune and we knew what we wanted, it would just be magical and perfect. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that the children, they're not wrong. I think they're
Yes.
completely correct. And we as adults and society have completely muddled it up. And so here we all sit, many of us homeless and in despair.
Yeah.
um, but I continue to just move forward with research, gratitude, and seeking resources.
Well, I have no doubt. And I believe that you don't have much doubt either that this will work out because you have a lot of trust. I love that your son thinks that way. And I agree with you. I think that everybody can have everything they want if they truly believe it. And it's the resistance that gets in the way. And your son right now doesn't have a lot of that because he doesn't have to worry about how it's going to be paid for. All he has to worry about is dreaming it up. And that's a really powerful place to be. And if adults were in that position and really put their energy into that, it would be a different world. Um, as far as the details of what you're looking for, so you mentioned that you want a tiny house, you want a tiny home. So when you're out and you're doing your deliveries and you're noticing the perfect little places, you're not noticing apartments, you're not noticing trailers, you're noticing houses, correct? So you get an idea that you really want a house to live in. So at least you have that specific down. Do you have an idea of where you want to be?
Absolutely, I have an ideal. Yeah.
And do you believe it's possible?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely. I do. Yeah.
great.
So
Great. That it seems, and we've talked about money several different times. It seems that that is really the only hang up is the financial aspect of it. And it's probably the biggest one for most people to get over because it's such a reality for us.
mhm.
It's it's such a big part of our society that money makes the world go round. And going forth with our dreams always brings in that attribute. We always have to go, oh, well, what about money? But if we didn't have to worry about it, if we just had full faith, full trust that the money will come in order to support the dream, then you free up the possibility to dream your dream. And so I just want to know what that is for you. What is the perfect home? And describe it to me in as much detail as you possibly can and talk about the way it feels when you're imagining it.
I went there. Actually, I drove and I mentioned it to the lady because she came out. So it's a rather long road near a river, um, or lake, some body of water, because I definitely would jump in there as much as possible. And then you can also, it's off the land, it's in nature. It's definitely, there's some neighbors, but they're not nearby. But you all kind of collaborate. Like somebody's got the chicken, and the other person has the carrots, and it's really,
A community.
yeah. And there's dirt under my nails. It's just bare feet. I'm mostly barefooted. And um, I would love to get to a point where I can invite others there to be well. And again, I am struggling with the money. That is a struggle for me still. And even though I know that everything that I've been asking for since I met you, significant changes like this one, and there is a little bit of money that's come my way, and I'm like, oh, there, I'm getting this, everything I want in a push.
Yeah.
So it's like fantastic, but also, okay, whoa, 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 wait a second here. Um, so yes, and I'm learning that I need to listen a little more attentively, because I think that things are getting presented to me, and me being stuck in my thoughts and focusing on the wrong things. Not that anything's neither wrong or right, but I think it's impeding me to see, um, or be open to more that could be coming in. So
Okay. So I just want to take a step back and look at how that unfolded.
mhm.
The task of me asking you to describe this place
Now I'm
and
getting every.
no, you were doing great. You were doing great in explaining all the things that you were wanting. And then there was the moment where you go, and then I do worry about money. And that's what's
Yeah,
happening all the
as it
time.
is, yeah.
And it really kind of illustrated your thought process
Mm.
and where you start to gain a little bit of momentum and then you throw some resistance in. And when you're creating something and trying to manifest it, that's what it's like for most people because their thoughts are going so quickly and all over the place that it's hard to know which ones are positive, which ones are negative. They're all kind of muddled in there together. So let's get back to the things that you're looking for, the things that you're really wanting. You were talking about dirt in your nails, you're by a body of water, you're barefooted all the time. So you're really connecting with the earth in this place that you really want to live. There's people around, but they're not too close. But there's this sense of community. You really feel like you're part of something, something that cares about others because you're sharing with one another. Tell me more about the structure that you want to live in.
I don't I don't think for me that that matters too much. I think it's wood. I think that it's wooden and there's it's not too big. I think for me smaller areas are easier to clean. And there's some cleanliness. I have been known if my children were here, they're like, yeah, she's a full-blown clean freak. So I might have an affinity, even though dirt under my nails, there's like such thing as clean dirt. Those who know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
So the place is tidy, is what you're saying. I'm getting a visual. The place is tidy, it's clean.
yeah, and there it is just flourishing with nutrients. I've been looking at yarrow root, and one of my side things I want to do, just I know I can go out and just buy a book, but I want to, in my own words, my own art, do our local edibles because they're just looked at and just sloughed off and people are wondering, gosh, we can't afford food, and I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know? Stinging nettles, dandelions, yarrow, salal, the list goes on.
Okay, so now I'm picturing all that around what I'm picturing to be kind of like a little cabin with a little porch. I mean, I've got my own visuals going on over here as you're talking about it.
Yes.
And you have all this natural kind of greenery and flowers and things that could be edible surrounding your little piece of land and your little home. So it's very functional.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the room, it's a small place. So you basically have a living area, probably connected with a kitchen, and then maybe like a bedroom, bathroom, is what I'm picturing. Now, let's talk about the window that's in the main living space. What do you see from the window?
Just wildlife and woods.
Okay. So
Mm.
trees,
Some sky. There's some room for sun.
maybe some of the water that you said you wanted to live by. So maybe the river or the lake.
I
You have
don't
a
think you can
visual of
see it from
something.
the I don't think I can see it from the
Okay.
house.
Okay. That's specific. See?
Um, yeah, yeah, and I think now that, all this is being said out loud, which is thank you so much because that's one of my processes that I've learned. So much is coming to my mind. I think that I do have it in here, and you're 100% right that I'm impeding it with my, with my training, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Which society does.
Um,
Yes.
yeah,
But
and just
it's important to do this, to get on these thought trains, and if you
mhm,
can just spend 17 seconds thinking about it, then you will get another set of like thought, and that's how you build momentum. So even
yeah,
on your day off, where you said you just wanted to go and sit by the lake, but you feel like you should be taking care of things, if you were to sit by the lake and think like that and create that, it will be a reality. So really you're doing the work. You're doing the vibrational work in
mhm,
creating this thing that you really need to create because you're under a deadline to get out of this house and you need a place to go. And it's fun work. So the other pieces, so we have an idea, the listeners, we have a somewhat of a visual of this place that you want to create. Tell me how it feels to live there.
mm. I'm getting goosebumps. um, it feels like a work. It feels
It feels
really
like work. Is that what you said?
it feels really peaceful. It feels really, really peaceful, and it feels like the right work, but even in
Enjoyable
the
work.
right work, when you have to get up and feed the chickens and harvest and all these things that I have no knowledge about yet, even so, gaining more knowledge, and continually learning. And then, see, here's another possible thought that impedes me, is that I have been studying the human design and the gene keys, and my design uh, notates that I'm a 3/5. So that's learn through trial and error, continue to make mistakes, definitely come across obstacles forever, right? And that knowledge can, and on certain conversations I'm in, really weighs some people down.
Hmm.
And I get really excited about it. But then there's mornings like this morning where I'm like, oh, goodness. So I say that just by noting that, um, interestingly enough, I'm also totally open to traveling the world. So anyway, it's like this weird split of all these ideals of what the ideal face, but it feels peaceful wherever I'm at.
Okay.
It's gonna feel
Let me stop
peaceful.
you. Let me stop you there since you brought that up because split energy plays a part in manifesting also.
Mm,
And what you're describing is that you kind of get on this track of thinking and then you get a little distracted and you go down a different path and you're like, but maybe I just want to do this instead. And it kind of opposes this cluster of thoughts over here. And when you have split energy like that, that that is resistance and it creates a kind of a divide in the manifestation that you are creating. So that's why clarity is so important. And I know you're saying this is part of your personality and you love this part of you. And I appreciate that. And accepting that there's going to be obstacles and just being okay with that is huge. I mean, there's always going to be resistance, there's always going to be contrast. And being accepting of that allows you to go with the flow and still have trust. And I love all of that. If you do want to create something specifically, it does help to catch that when that's happening so that your energy doesn't get split, so that you can just be focused on that which you do want. And I know the idea of traveling the world and being free is a big part of who you are. And you've mentioned it a few times. There's something in you that really would love a gypsy lifestyle, it seems like.
mm,
And then you start thinking about your son and you start thinking about what he wants and the security and the safety of being settled down. And I think that that's part of your, excuse me, that's part of your split energy.
Can I have both?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can do many things with your life, right? You can do whatever you want. You're a powerful creator. And I love that. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds for you. Um, so I hope that you don't feel like I was directing you towards something that you don't want.
Mm-mm.
But if you do want a place to move to, focusing on the specifics of it and feeling the way you'll feel when you're there is how you lower resistance and gain some momentum in creating that and bringing it into your physical reality as quickly as possible. So that was the idea behind the exercise.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And I sat in that thought actually earlier this morning, because I'm sitting here, while I was laying down. I was looking at my room, thinking, why? I mean, humans, maybe it's just a human component where we just always want more.
Of course.
Generally, most of us want more. Very few. And I'm thinking, man, what was it that, what is I'm trying to get to that core of, if I move into the next place, or if I find my dream, is there something more that's really deep, that's more at the core, that I can firmly assert, like, yes, this is what I want, no matter of the physical aspects or location or whatever. There's something more there. And I think, stability for my son, although he would love to travel with me too. So thank you, because this conversation, just sort of, I think, helps me progress further and further because I'm looking at this house like nothing wrong with it. The
Yeah.
rent is fine because rent's insane these
Yeah.
days. I don't understand why we're all choosing that, why we're
Oh, I
choosing
know.
to put each other in those positions. But that's another topic. Um, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I do have somebody in mind, actually, that I'll talk to you about when we're done recording, who I think might be a good contact with you, somebody who's living that life that you were just describing. So I'll talk about getting you in contact maybe with that person, and
Oh,
who knows if that'll go somewhere.
yes.
Um, but I want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing. I want to thank you for being open and being willing to use your life for my audience to see how you're doing this and how you're working through everything, and just your devotion to your passion for life and your trust that it's all going to work out. I appreciate you as a person, and I just have had a lot of fun talking with you and getting to know you. It's been a pleasure for me.
Thank you. Me as well. And I think that's what pulled me in is your little, it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
And I immediately agreed with you. I was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. And you do. The more that I listen, I think that it's really important to see it in action. It's something to just say it like, oh, this is what you do to be alive. Woo
Yeah.
woo, but to see it in action and then to feel it,
Yeah.
even in the smallest little levels, it's magnificent. For me, it's like, well,
Absolutely.
that's what life is about. So
Yeah.
I love it. Thank
So,
you.
for everyone who's listening, if anybody is thinking about working with me, having a co-creation session with me, what would you say?
Oh, to get a hold of her, trust the timing and don't overthink it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have a podcast. What are we gonna talk about? Da 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 da. No, it forms and it flows and it's beautiful and you offer minimal resistance. There's very minimal resistance, and I think that you also offer an energy or an aura, even from far, far away. Right, we're not like right next to each other right now,
Right.
but when it's not supposed to happen, it doesn't happen, and it's
Mhm.
not. It's not like it's you or it's me or it's the energy, it's the timing. So for me, that's what I would say my experience has been. And I would say be open to the experience that you might have with her. It might be a little bit different. And it's a wonderful journey.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciate that. And I look forward to all the ways that we're going to continue to interact.
Thank you.
So thanks for being on the podcast and being a part of this passion journey for me, and for listening to the podcast and supporting me, and just for taking some time to talk with me. Thanks so much, Tara. It's really been a blast. If you're enjoying the podcast, you can show your support by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. You also can follow Dr. Williams' podcast on all social media platforms and subscribe on YouTube and by going to www.drwilliamspodcast.com. Deliberate creation is the key to living life satisfied, and that is my wish for all of you.